Thanks for tuning in to this episode of I Have Something to Say, where subject matter experts are unafraid and unapologetic about sharing their perspectives regarding issues that impact our lives. They speak up because basically they give a shit. So if you're tired of canned answers and want to finally hear real people cut through the BS and talk about real issues, this is the podcast for you. I'm your host, Jaime Marrero from Urbander, and behind our mixer is our producer, Chris Majoka from You Do You. Welcome, everybody. I am so excited because ever since we launched this video cast, we're able to invite some of our favorite people to be on this podcast of I Have Something to Say. And today I have a guest all the way from Minnesota, my dear friend, Mercedes Jaime. She's the founder and CEO of Enter Entra. She's an expert in supplier diversity. She's an advocate for equitable access to small business owners and even large ones. So it really doesn't matter what size, but more importantly, she's a brand new grandma. Congratulations, Mercedes.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Sammy. Terrific. Great to see you.
Likewise.
Thank you for the warm welcome.
Yes, and congratulations on the baby. De nada. Congratulations on the baby. I know that right now the world stopped. Nothing else matters, right? Except for Blueberry. That's the nickname for the baby, right?
Yes, my little Blueberry. Yes, correct.
Yeah.
You know, we are very blessed, even though we're going through this significant emotional event in everyone's lives.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the worst two things that have happened to me, I'm happy to report, is having a bad day and having a bad nail day. We haven't been able to get into the salon.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm feeling very blessed. All my girls, my J's, the 3 J's are home. And Blueberry was born in the midst of all this. So great blessing.
Yes, and I'm really happy for you. I'm following you constantly, since the day we met. And so just a little bit of backstory. So Sholanda, who you know is part of our crew, is good friends with Mercedes for many years now, since her days back in Minnesota, working over there. She lived there for like 4 years, and you guys connected and become like sisters. And so we surprised Sholanda about, I think it was 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it was 2 years ago for her birthday. Mercedes and I figured how to get Mercedes here without Sholanda knowing. And we knocked on her door. And when Sholanda opened the door, there was Mercedes. And it was like, forget it. It was hysteria. It was epic. Okay. It was an epic moment. And so then, of course, we did our normal, which is go out for coffee, right, Mercedes? Salud.
Saludcito.
Chin. Yes, go cover. Mm-hmm. For coffee was like the immediate go-to. And once we sat down, to talk, what I thought was going to be a café con leche, just getting to know this chick, right? Turned out into like a legit coaching session. I don't know if you remember that, Mercedes, but you started just probing like what you do, right? You're a business coach, you do business development, supplier diversity. And I was like, wow, and you ran me through the ringer, asked me all kinds of questions about my business, how I was doing things. And it literally became a coaching session. And I want to take this moment to thank you for it, because it was wonderful. But the key takeaway of that conversation was follow your bliss. And those are those 3 words that you live by. And I want you to talk to me about why you got to that motto in your life.
Well, very simple. Growing up as a Latina, coming to the United States and trying to manage 2 cultures, right? Navigate within 2 cultures, the mainstream and your own culture. it can be difficult for a child. And I had a mom who was very demanding, very, at times, very overbearing, like most Latina mothers. And I always tried to please her. So once she became an angel,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, we lost her in 2013. I thought to myself, okay, what can I do to make this life better for myself,
Mm-hmm.
for my children?
Mm-hmm.
Um, because it was the way she left this earth was very traumatic for all of us. It was in a car accident.
Oh, I'm
Anyhow,
sorry. Mm-hmm.
um, every day I woke up saying, what would mom do? And then one day I thought, wait a minute, why am I trying to please her? She's gone. What are
Mm-hmm.
those things that I like to do?
Mm-hmm.
And what are those things that make me happy? And what would she encourage me to do to become happy? And so I started to say, I'm going to do my bliss, because mommy's no longer here. She's the only person that I follow, that I obey. And so I really started consciously following my bliss from then on, because that was a way of honoring her memory.
That's awesome. You see, I didn't know that, but I think it's very powerful. So it was like a shift, like a really big moment in your life that made you pause and
Mm-hmm.
say, what, how can I navigate moving forward? How can I
Exactly.
navigate? Yeah. And for many people that are really suffering loss now, I think that's a very important message to hold on to and to ponder on too,
Yes.
to really take this moment to really dig deep and reflect on what are those things that make you happy and that
Mm-hmm.
you feel you want to pursue, and which we can call your bliss. And it could be in,
Mm-hmm.
in in any aspect of your life, right? I know that you're a swimmer too, that you
Yes.
love to swim. That's one of the things, right, that you do and you don't compromise on too.
No, and I can't do it right now.
I
Yes,
know you
because
must be
the
going
gym's
nuts.
closed.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I
But but here's the thing: in order for someone to change their ways, they have to go through a significant emotional event in their lives.
Mhm.
You cannot change someone without having that, and it has to come from within.
Mhm.
And so I went from a people pleasing person to, okay, this is my life, and I want to honor my mother, and what would she want from me?
Right.
So between those two things, I figure every day, no matter what's going on, good, bad, or ugly in my life, I'm going to take some time to follow my bliss and do
Mhm.
things that are good for me. So swimming, that's the first thing I do. At four
Mhm.
o'clock in the morning, at crazy hours of the day, that is the time for me to rehabilitate body, mind, and soul. And so
Mhm.
I believe that everyone should find that bliss, that thing that helps them. For me, it's swimming. Although right now I can't swim, so I have to walk. So I'm
Right.
trying walking right now.
And you have
But
the baby now too.
yes, I have
That that because I've seen the pictures on Facebook, and you are in love. Like it's beyond bliss right now, right?
well, it's the first grandchild, so
Yeah.
but, but we all need to make the conscious effort to do that,
Mhm.
to imagine, build the life that we have imagined. And
Mhm.
so you're a mom, I'm a
Mhm.
mom. And what do we want for our children? We want what's best for them. We
Mhm.
want them to really live the life that they have imagined,
Mhm.
to be happy in a relationship, to be happy in work, to just be happy. Isn't that the ultimate success? So
Mhm.
some folks feel that the ultimate success is having money, it's having this, it's having that. My belief is ultimate success is being happy every day.
Yeah.
And not every day is a happy day.
Mhm.
Life will give you lessons. And as you know, Sammy,
Mhm.
one of my daughters, one of the Jays, had cancer. And
Mhm.
I remember when that happened, I thought, oh my God, why? And you can
Mhm.
get into dumps of everything. And I was there for about a couple of days, and then she looked at me and she says, I don't need this right now. I need you to be strong. I need you to be there for me.
Mm.
And so she really managed the expectations, and her attitude really shifted the significant emotional event that I was going through,
Mm-hmm.
because I knew that I needed to step up and be a better mother for her. And being mad at God and saying, why me? Why me? Why? Because you feel helpless. When your child is sick, you
Mm-hmm.
feel helpless.
Mm-hmm.
And so from that moment on, I thought, okay, I'm going to shift my attitude. I am going to think about how I want her to feel and how I want her to look. And from then on, it was, she's going to be healthy by December. She was
Mm-hmm.
diagnosed with cancer in June.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought my Christmas present is going to be, she's going to be cancer free.
Mm-hmm.
And wouldn't you know it? She was cancer free by December.
Amen.
And,
I remember that. Mm-hmm.
and my friends and family would say, don't put your hopes up high. And I thought, no, I have to shift the way I'm looking at this, because
Mm-hmm.
she's only 21. She has major, you know, expectations in her life. She needs to graduate from college. But it's that thing, and no matter what was going on, illness, unemployment, divorce, you name it, you
Mm-hmm.
kind of have to focus your mind and say, this is my life and I have to make it happy.
Mm-hmm.
And many times I would get people saying, oh, what you posted on Facebook was very inspirational, or, on LinkedIn. And I often tell people, thank you. I appreciate the kind words, but really, I do it for me. I look
Yeah.
and search
Yeah.
for that
Yeah.
inspirational quote, that
Mm-hmm.
inspirational thing for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because some days you do need it more than others.
Yeah. And sometimes that's all you can count on yourself, to bring you to that place, right? Totally.
Yeah.
You know what? And just now to apply this to, business ownership, and because it all that's always an option when people hit an economic crisis. You know, when we're adults and have to now put food on the table, you have a couple of options, right?
Mm-hmm.
Option A is to work for somebody, for the corporate sector. Been there, done that. I know you've been there, done that for many years, right? The other option is to start your own business. Sometimes it's the only option. Been there, done that. I know that you've been there, done that too, for many years. And then the third option is to, be homeless and live under a bridge. Of course, there are other factors and stuff, that affect, the human spirit. And, let's not even talk about systematic barriers that, can hinder a person's personal and professional growth. But let's talk about right now those people that decide, okay, I'm at a crossroads now. I'm considering entrepreneurship, or I'm a small business owner, and now with this crisis, all industries are being affected in one way or another. And so I wanted to bring you on because you have that lens from both perspectives. You are a business owner, right? Now for what, the 3+ years, 4 years, you decided to just
Mm-hmm.
do your own thing. And then secondly, but you're like a freaking supplier diversity guru. So you understand what it takes and what small businesses need to get in the game, in the big game, right? To work with the big corporate types. So talk to me about what key or fundamental things small business owners should take into account as they step into this world, or as they're being affected by not having those contracts extended or put on pause.
Well, thank you for your kind words. I appreciate it. Um, so one of the things, and I'll illustrate this, um, and I'll quote from a conversation I had with a colleague, friend, and a high school schoolmate. So one of the things we were talking about was supplier diversity, because I'm very passionate about it in small businesses. And it dawned on me. I said, "Do you remember when we were kids and we watched the Flintstones,
Mhm.
Pedro Picapiedra, Fred Flintstone. And then we also watched the Jetsons.
Mhm.
And he said, yeah. And he's like, what are you getting to? And I said, you know, that's what these two cartoons remind me of, how our lives are going to evolution.
Mhm.
So before COVID-19, our society was in the bedrock stage, the
Yeah.
Fred Flintstones, okay, of the world, where, you do everything the hard way. And then after COVID-19, I am so inspired by all the innovation that's going to happen
Mhm.
in healthcare, in education, in technology. I mean, every facet of our world is going to change. We've all
Mhm.
gone through a significant emotional event. And so we're all going to transition from being in the Fred Flintstone type bedrock to the Jetsons,
Mhm.
where if you remember the Jetsons, they would plug in some numbers and there would come the food, right? And they
That's
would send their
Instacart. Yes, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, they had Rosie doing. I'm excited. If Rosie happens, that they
Exactly.
can do the chores and everything for you.
Yeah.
But it's
So it's gonna be
fascinating.
from Roomba to Rosie, right? Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. But I feel, and a lot of people I know are upset that they have to be home. Personally, I love being home. I enjoy it. I have my home office. And so I am very inspired by all of it that's going to transition from that type of world to another.
Mhm.
However, my biggest fear is for our Latino community.
Mhm.
I am scared that they are going to stay in bedrock, in the Fred Flintstone era, and not migrate into the Jetsons era
Yeah.
because of technology, because of resources, because of all of that.
Mhm.
Having said that, I think that the businesses that will evolve and that will transition will be those that are really doing it because they're passionate about it and they're innovative.
Mhm.
Because, you and I both know that Blockbuster was a great company, right? When we were kids, we loved it.
Mhm. Yeah.
So where was their failure? The failure was they stayed Blockbuster
Yeah.
and they refused to change. And so when Netflix came along, you remember Netflix when they used to have that little big box, the
Yes.
red box, and you go and rent. And then they transitioned, right? They started there, but then they transitioned.
Yes.
Not only did they transition, but they have diversified their offerings. Gosh,
Mhm.
they have so much, not just for the mainstream, but for the Latino community.
Yes.
From novelas to television, you name it, they have it. And they also have their Netflix originals in Spanish.
Mhm.
There's quite a few that I can name off.
Mhm.
You can tell what I've been doing. But in order for any entrepreneur to survive this, they're going to really have to look at their core competencies and identify what are those things that they were doing that were in the Flintstone age, per se,
Mhm.
and what are those things that they have to assimilate and transition in so they can be in the Jetsons space, in the
Mhm.
Jetsons world.
Right.
And so those will be the folks that will thrive. Those are the folks that will continue. Because if I'm a restaurant, right, but I
Mhm.
don't have a pickup service, I don't have the technology to support that, it, you're dead in the water.
Right.
So you see it right now. Those restaurants that have closed, I know here in Minnesota a lot have closed,
Yes.
but
Mhm.
but but the ones that had the technology or they were able to switch gears
Mhm.
and adapt,
Mhm.
those are going to thrive. So
Mhm.
I'm really interested in how is the salon going to transition,
Right.
right? What are the things that they're going to do to be a bit more innovative, protect their health, the health of their employees, but yet be profitable? The
Yes.
salons, the spas. I mean, things are going to have to change. My
Mhm.
daughter, believe it or not, she's launching her business right now.
Mhm. That's
Uh,
great.
yeah, Jason is launching her business in the midst of all this, and
Mhm.
she was kind of like, "Oh, I don't know." I said, "Follow your bliss."
Yeah.
What is that one thing, right?
Yeah.
but take into consideration that the way your business model was before needs to be adapted to the future.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Totally.
if you're coming into my home per se and you're going to be doing a service,
Mm-hmm.
I need to make sure that you are protecting yourself to protect the integrity of the environment of my home.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what? What you're mentioning now, I had a conversation with a friend just recently, and that we were talking about this shift and how it's obviously been propelled, right, or sparked or ignited by safety, right? So
Mhm.
safety is what's made us all pause and figure out how we're going to pivot, how we're going to shift. Okay. But when this is all said and done, whether it's in 3 months, a year, whatever, when everybody like gets back into, you know, um, sharing public spaces, that, that safety would have provoked a preference for convenience. And so thinking ahead is about, yes, so you have to shift to first, right? Address the safety issue. But the thing is, we're almost creating, this situation is also creating that thirst for convenience. And so
Mhm.
always be looking. So I was talking to her and I'm like, we need to be looking ahead to see what does
Mhm.
like in what areas can we infuse our business models, right? Or that of our clients with that convenience factor, because it's like the microwave. Now,
Mhm.
when we went from stoves, to then the microwave, we're like, oh my God, this is amazing. But now we're even impatient with the microwave. We're like, oh God, I have to wait a minute for this thing to heat up. And so yeah, so it's like talk about short attention span, right? It's like going to be like dealing with like a 2-year-old all the time, you know. But yes, absolutely. This is definitely like the big takeaway right now, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So, one of the things it's a shift in mindset. So, I've always been very careful about protecting myself from viruses.
Mhm.
Okay, I was diagnosed with lupus 20 years ago, and that was a big mind change for me.
Mhm.
So, I always carry Purell with me,
Mhm.
whether it's a little bottle, a big bottle, and then I also have it in my car. I have the little pump, so when I pump for gas at the Costco, I
Mhm.
always clean it, and I clean my steering wheel, and I clean everything around.
Mhm.
And my kids, they make fun of me because when we travel,
Mm.
I have the wipes, I have the Lysol.
Yeah,
I
manic,
go,
manic mom, manic mom.
exactly. I spray the house with Lysol all the time. I buy that by the bulk.
Uh-huh.
I've always done it. So uh, when this all started, my compadre, who's in Puerto Rico, he tagged me on a thing with the Lysol and the Vicks because he knows I'm big on those two things.
I'm Vix. Viva Peru, right? Vix,
And
Vix.
I am because I'm always trying to make sure that I stay healthy, right?
Yeah.
And as a
Mhm.
matter of fact, a few years ago, one of my clients gave me this, and I think this is the best thing.
Mhm.
It's called the Healthy Workplace Project.
Mm.
I got this from him. Oh, I would say maybe 8 years ago. He was
Mhm.
ahead of his time. And as a
Mhm.
matter of fact, I was going to call him and say, "Remember that little gift you gave me? You should continue to promote that because that's what people need. That's what
Mhm.
people want." So there
Mhm.
has to be a shift in how you do your daily life. I mean,
Mhm.
yes, I am looking forward to going to Florida and giving you a great big hug and everything, Tammy. We have
Yeah.
plans for me to be there in May,
Mhm.
but we have to be careful. I started working in an organization early this year, and with business development. And I remember cleaning my desk, and one of my coworkers looked at me and she laughed. She kind of laughed and said, "Oh my God, you're such a neat freak." And I thought, no, this is how I do everything.
Mhm.
I clean my desk at the end of the day and at the beginning of the day.
Mhm.
But that's just the way I do it.
Mhm.
Folks that don't do that will have to change their mindset.
Yeah.
Same thing with business. It's the
Mhm.
exact same thing with business. If you're doing business, if you think that you're going to be running your business the way you were running it before,
Mhm.
you have something coming.
Yeah.
It has to be innovative. So this has been a significant emotional event for the world.
Mhm.
It's not just us. This is
Mhm.
not happening, you know, across the street, or it's impacting all of us, our
Mhm.
family, our neighbors, our loved ones. And so just like we're trying to shift
Mhm.
gears, you know, the technology that comes with the innovation, how many companies haven't you seen that say, we used to make this and now we're making hand sanitizer,
Right.
you know, because they know. There's a woman-owned company that I've known for years. She has a product that takes wine away from the clothing. And I just saw on LinkedIn that they're doing hand sanitizers. And I thought,
Mhm.
bravo, you know, you
Mhm.
are being innovative. You're
Mhm.
thinking ahead. You're
Mhm.
diversifying yourself.
Mhm.
You're not staying back there like the blockbusters of the world, right?
Right. Mhm.
You have to be innovative.
Yes.
So that's what I would say to business owners. You know, of course, why did you come? Why did you start your business?
Mhm.
Hey, Sammy, why did you start your business?
Well, I started my business because I lost my job in the last economic crisis in 2008, and I couldn't find work here
Yeah.
in Florida because no one, I didn't have any connections and stuff, any relationships, and this is very insular here. It's like who you know. It's like how you kind
Mhm.
of. I've learned that throughout the years, and so that's why. And because I knew that I had what you said, like a diverse set of skills that I could try to bank on, and a good reputation. So that's what I did. But it wasn't easy because I had never run a business. I
Mhm.
ran departments and big budgets, but it's not the same thing
It's
at
not.
all. And so,
See, and I started Enter because I've been in the corporate world for over 30 years.
mhm,
I was tired of the bureaucracy, and I
mhm,
really wanted to make an impact
mhm,
in people's lives. I really
mhm,
wanted to help connect suppliers with opportunities. As a matter of fact, I came up with the tagline before I came up with the business name.
mhm, mhm,
My tagline is ideas connecting opportunities, because that's really what I do.
mhm,
You have an idea, I'm the connector, and I connect you with an opportunity. Okay.
mhm,
And so the enter came up later on when I was arguing with my youngest daughter, J3. She says, no, that's not the right name. That's not. And I said, oh, you know what? I said, I'm just going to pick the first thing I see written up there. And so we're walking into the gym and we see enter. And I said, there it is. That's what I'm going to name it. And she looked at me and said, what? She said, that's not you. Enter? That's so lame. She says, it's gotta have a Latin flair. And I said,
Yeah,
enter, entra.
I
I
love
just
it because
connecting
it's like you have
opportunities.
access. It's
Yeah,
perfect.
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's like you're welcome. You come in because we're
Come
going to
in.
do some business. Yeah. I love
We're
it.
we're gonna look at, are you working in your business? How much time are you working in the business? And guess what? How much time are you working on the business?
Yes.
And this is really an eye opener for me, because I am still dealing with a lot of suppliers, and one of the things that I see is the lack of hands-on and work dedicated on the business,
Yeah.
not in the business, but
Mhm.
on the business. So
Mhm.
the financials, are your financials up to date? You
Mhm.
would be surprised
Yeah.
how many people don't do that. You'd be surprised, like I'm sure you've had to apply for that PPP.
Oh my God. What a shit show. But anyway, that's a whole other show. Mhm.
So I've been working on this, trying to
Yeah.
get folks to get their paperwork lined up and
It's not
everything.
easy. Uh-huh.
It's
Mhm.
not. it's not, or just knowing the right resources. So I don't
Hmm.
know in Florida, but in Minnesota, we've had three types of financial help for
Hmm.
entrepreneurs. We have the local one, we
Hmm.
have the state, and the federal.
Hmm.
And it amazes me how many people are not aware of the things that they need to have. The documentation. Documentation is not up to par.
Hmm.
You know, they're putting their stuff on a napkin or in a
Yeah.
little piece of paper, and you say,
Yeah.
how do you stay afloat?
Yeah.
Well, if your bliss is not numbers, right,
Yes, exactly.
then hire an accountant.
Exactly, which is what we've done. That one, yeah, we've totally done for
Yeah.
the last, yeah, because I got into trouble with the IRS because we did it internally, and then when they sent us a letter in year two that we owed them, like, I don't know, it was like $9,000, something crazy. I almost had a fit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I kind of need to pay somebody to do this for me, and it's been great. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So that way you can focus on the business. That's one of the learnings you gave me when you sat me and ran me through the grinder that morning when we had coffee together. You said, how much time do you spend working in the business versus on the business? And I'm like, holy crap, wait a second. And you're like, you need to delegate. You have very capable people. And I was like, oh my God, yes, mommy. Okay, mommy.
Well, I remember us talking about, I and when I was in college, I was in ROTC, and my lifelong mentor, Colonel Easter, taught me about the pinch crunch. And so one of the things he said, um, anytime that you have a disagreement with someone, it's either one of three things.
Hmm.
You disagree on the values, the roles, or the expectations.
Hmm.
So I live by that. My
Hmm.
children they know what's going to get me upset and how I'm going to be pleased because they always know my values, the roles, and the expectations. And I think
Hmm.
that's what we were talking about, where,
Hmm.
it's time, it's hard for us to let go or delegate, right?
Yes.
But as a business owner, sometimes you have to let go. So
Hmm.
the letter from the IRS, that was a significant emotional event that happened in your life.
Yes.
And if that had not happened, you would not have moved on.
Yes.
You know, I was perfectly happy in corporate America and I love, love, love my job for 30 some years until I was bullied. Okay.
Mm.
And that was a significant emotional event in my life. Everyone talks about Me Too, the Me Too movement, but nobody really talks about how women bully other women in corporate America or in
Mm.
any field, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
And so I was a victim of bullying for 3 years. It
Mm.
affected my life, my health, everything. And then I said, you know what? I'm just going to leave it in God's hands. And that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me.
Hmm.
Because if it hadn't been for those two women that bullied me mercilessly, I would have never moved on. And I would have
Hmm.
never, started Enter Enta.
Yeah. Hmm.
And so I thought that was a significant emotional event in my life
Hmm.
that happened for a reason,
Hmm.
right? And so it really launched me to really say, what would I do if I knew I could not fail, right?
Mm. Mm.
So
Love it.
a dear friend of mine, gave me this plaque right after I left corporate America, and she said, "This has been hanging in my office, but I want it to hang in your office." And I have it in the entrance of my home office, and I read it every day. And I say, it says, "Believe," and then it says, "What would you do if you knew you could not fail?" And I always think of that.
Yeah.
God, what would I do?
Yeah.
See, you know, it's the opportunities are endless because you are the only one who stops yourself. So
Hmm.
anyone that is going through heartaches with business right now, I would recommend for them to say, what would I do if I knew I couldn't fail?
Hmm.
And how do I take this product or this service into the next level? How do I improve that?
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
How do I innovate it? How do I move from being the blockbuster to the Netflix of the world?
Yes.
And like,
And
oh,
what
there's many,
that's
many
th-
examples.
yeah, that's really great. And defining and articulating your values, roles, and expectations from the get-go, it's a critical part of that. That's another thing that you talked about. We sat for like an hour and a half, girl, and you gave me all of these gems, and actually gave me examples of how it works, like you're doing now. And that was another takeaway. And can I tell you, we apply that now with all of our clients, and it's so effective. We include it in every proposal that we're going to meet for an hour and a half, 2 hours, so we're all on the same page in terms of values, roles, and expectations. And it works. Ever since
Mm-hmm.
I met you 2 years ago and you sat me and talked to me over Café con Leche, it was something that we incorporate into everything we do, everything we do with our business. And so I just feel like, key takeaways here is follow your bliss, right?
Mm-hmm.
Values, roles, and expectations. Ask yourself, if I knew I couldn't fail, what would I do? Right? Be innovative
Mm-hmm.
and focus, since you're focusing on your bliss, right? Um, think about working in the business versus on the business. So those
Yep.
things that you don't have to do, that you can delegate to somebody else, that's the hands-on in your business, so that way you can then do focusing on growing the business, right?
Right, because you started your company because you love it, you're passionate about it. But there's certain parts about business that
Yeah.
I'm not a numbers person.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not my
I
thing.
know. That's me too. Exactly.
I
Exactly.
can see the big picture.
Yeah.
Bam, here's the big picture. Here's the
Yeah.
small picture.
Uh,
But but talk to me about numbers. I'm going to say, I'll do it if I have to.
yeah.
But you know, at this time of my life, I'm not going to spend time in a task, a relationship, uh, anything that I'm not enjoying.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's so hard for us. Oh, que porque, I know Fulanita since I was in kindergarten, but she's a mean girl. I'll continue to be her friend. No, keep them at arm's length,
Yeah.
or because I've been married X amount of time, because of the family. No, you have to follow your blues. You have to say enough is enough.
Yeah.
You know, my
Yeah.
my my grandfather used to say two sayings that I keep in mind all the time. And every day, almost every day, I say it to myself: "No hay mal que por bien no venga."
Mhm.
Something bad happens, something good comes of it.
Mhm.
Amazing things are going to come from this.
Mhm.
This quarantine, this COVID-19, amazing things, technology, innovation in everywhere in our life, right?
Mhm.
And then the other thing he would always say to me is, para todo hay remedio, menos para la muerte.
Mhm.
There's a solution for everything except death. So
Mhm.
if I'm still alive, there's going to be a solution for whatever problem I have,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so it doesn't make sense for me to sit around and rock back and forth in the rocking chair thinking about my problems and being miserable, because guess what? It's not going to take me anywhere. It's only going to hinder depression, sadness, all those bad emotions that they're okay to have. They're okay to have them for a little bit, but you have to let them go.
Mhm.
You have to let them go, and you have to focus on, how can I improve it?
Mhm.
I'm in a very bad position. Okay?
Mhm.
Whether it's illness, whether it's finances. And the most important thing is be grateful for all the things you have.
Mhm.
Like when we started talking, I'm very grateful. My children are home. Everyone, we have a full house right now. We have three generations here. But I wouldn't have it any other way
yeah.
because I know they are all safe.
Yeah.
And I have many friends that can't see their grandchildren or their children.
Yeah.
You know, and there's many people that don't even have money for food,
Yeah.
you know? And so you kind of have to look at, where am I now? What are the blessings? Focus on the blessings. Talk about the blessings.
Mhm.
Because if you're constantly talking about the problems, you will attract them, right? So if you're constantly saying, this happened to me and this bad thing happened to me,
¿Y por qué?
I
¿Por qué? The
yeah,
why, the why.
I had a coworker many, many years ago. She'd come into the office and she'll say, "Oh, such a thing can't happen to me." So every morning, we all knew she was. It was like she would walk in with this black cloud over her.
Mhm.
And one day I said to her, "Do you realize that you're always attracting this stuff? Stop talking about it.
Mm.
Talk about the good things that are going on in your life.
Mhm.
Stop talking about the negative stuff, because
Mhm.
you only attract them more. So if you're attracting more of the negative stuff, it's going to come to you. But if you're
Mhm.
talking about the positive stuff, the things that you enjoy doing, the people that you love, the friends, the family, focus on that. Same thing with the business. Why did you start the business? It was either because of a need, a necessity, or it was something that you really thought it was a gift to the world, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And so, two things that are very powerful that I always tell people to watch or read is the movie The Secret.
Mhm.
Totally changes people's lives.
Bueno,
And then the sequel is The Power, the book The Power.
the
The
power.
same thing. Another one that I really love, and Coach Don, who I've met many years ago, he sent me this. It's called Zig Ziglar's Little Book of Big Quotes.
Mhm.
Have something at your desk, something at your desk that inspires you.
Mhm.
We spend so much time at our desk, we have to make it, I'm a
Yeah.
believer in feng shui.
Mhm.
So I always feng shui my desk. I feng shui my office. I feng shui my house. Drive my family nuts because I'm always switching things around. The same thing is with business. You
Yeah.
have to switch things around,
Mhm.
because otherwise you're going to stay in the fresh Flintstone, that rock life. You're not going to transition into the Jetsons world, and your business will eventually fail because you're stubborn, right? There's people that are stubborn. They've done things a certain way all the time, and if you keep doing the same thing over and over, guess what? You're going to get the same result.
Yeah. Absolutely. Listen, Mercedes. I mean, we have to have you back on. You know, definitely have to have you back on. This was fascinating. You're just like you bring me so much joy and so much like wisdom, but like not like the fluffy kind of like, oh wow, she's like Yoda wisdom, you know? It's like practical wisdom, like stuff that you can actually like apply, you know? And so thank you for, taking time to share all of these insights with us. We'll have you back again, and I love you. What can I say? I just love you to pieces. Thank you so much
Oh,
for coming on today.
thank you, Sammy. Thank you for the opportunity. Love talking to you and connecting with you. And remember, follow your bliss. So I'll do the same thing that I do to Shalanda. Are you following your bliss today?
I
You
am
play tennis.
following. Yeah, she's doing the tennis now. I have to find. I started soca dancing. I think that might be, my bliss, But you know what? Salute to that, to following our bliss.
Saludcito.
Okay.
Saludcito.
God bless you, Mama. I love you.
Gracias. Love you
Bye
too.
bye.
Take care.
You too.
This concludes this episode of I Have Something to Say. We want to thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to tell your friends about us. We're on Spotify and iTunes as well. There's more to come next week. And remember, if you have something to say, it's time to speak up.